A very good morning to all. Today we are going to start with the new chapter, chapter number 8, and the name of the chapter is Force, Work and Energy. In this class, we'll be learning about force and types of forces. So let's start with the chapter. So here you can see three different pictures. So see the first picture. In this picture you can see a man trying to lift a heavy box. What about this picture? Here you can see a man pulling the door. What about the third one? Here you can see the bulls are pulling the cart. So in all these three pictures, they are doing a work. And all work requires us to apply a force. So coming to the first picture, you can see this man applies a force to lift the box. And in the second picture also you can see the man applies a force to pull the door. And what about the third one? The bulls apply a force in order to pull the cart. So here they are applying a force. So all work requires us to apply a force. And what is force? So you all might have heard about the term force, but you don't know whether we use it or not. So what is force? So force is defined as the push or pull that makes an object move. So in order to move an object, or in order to stop a moving object, or in order to change the position of an object, you need to apply force. What is force? Force is defined as the push or pull that makes an object move. In the first picture, you can see this boy is pushing a heavy box. So as the box is very heavier, he needs to apply more force. If the force is sufficient, the box moves. Right. So what if you want to move your pen or pencil? Are you applying a force? Yes, you are applying a force to move that pen or pencil. But the force applied is very less. Why? Because the object is very lighter. So what about this picture? Here you can see the branch of a tree moves. So is there any force applied there? Yes. Here the wind applies a force. Here the wind applies a force that moves the branch of a tree. So all work requires us to apply a force. And force is defined as the push or pull that makes an object move. So most of you know to play football, and even you have noticed that while playing football or cricket, you can change the speed of a ball, even you can stop a moving ball, or even you can change the direction of a ball. In all these cases, are you applying a force? Yes. Force can make things speed up, slow down, or change direction. So all work requires us to apply a force. And what is force? Force is defined as the push or pull that makes an object move. Now let's see the different types of forces. So the different types of forces are muscular force, gravitational force, magnetic force and frictional force. So the different types of forces are muscular force, gravitational force, magnetic force and frictional force. So let's discuss each of them one by one. So which is the first one? The first one is the muscular force. So let me give you an example first. So most of you know to ride a bicycle, right? So when you ride a bicycle, are you applying a force? Yes. So you apply force to the pedals of a bicycle. So that is why the cycle moves. So you apply a force to the pedals of a bicycle. So what do you use to apply that force? You use your muscles, right? You use your muscles to apply that force. So force applied by muscles called as muscular force. So what is muscular force? force applied by muscles is called muscular force. So if you want to take something, if you are going to pick up something from your table, you use your hands, right? Here you are applying muscular force. Let me give you another example. If you are going to pull an object, you use your muscles to apply that force, right? You are using muscular force. When you throw a ball with your hand and you use your muscles to apply force. So force applied by your muscles is called as muscular force. So coming to the next type of force, that is gravitational force. So when you throw a ball in the air, what happens? It falls onto the ground. What about leaves? It always falls to the ground. What about fruits of a tree? It always falls to the ground. Why is it anything rising up the sky? So have you ever thought, why all these things are falling to the ground? Is there any force applied there? Yes, there is a force. Here the earth is applying the force. Here the earth is applying a pull force. That is why the objects that are free, that comes to the ground. So when you throw a ball up in the air, it falls to the ground. Here the earth attracts everything towards it. Or we can say the earth applies a gravitational force. So earth attracts everything towards it. That is why they are falling towards the ground. We can say earth applies a gravitational force. So what is gravitational force? The pull force applied by earth on all objects. That is called gravitational force. So earth attracts everything towards it. It applies a gravitational force. It pulls objects towards it. So that is called gravitational force. So, which is the next type of force? The next type of force is the magnetic force. So here you can see the paper clip stick to the magnet. The paper clip contains iron. So magnet always attracts iron objects. So, have you seen magnet attracting an iron object? Magnet always attracts iron objects. So this magnet applies a pull force and it pulls iron objects towards it. So what is magnetic force? The force exerted by magnet on iron objects. Exerted means apply. So the force exerted by magnet on iron objects is called as magnetic force. So even you can experiment this. You can bring together a magnet and an iron object. And when you bring them together, you can see the iron objects gets attracted to the magnet. The magnet pulls iron objects towards it. So the force exerted by magnet on iron objects is called as magnetic force. Now let's see the next type of force. So the next type of force is the frictional force. So let me give you an example. So you all might have seen a bowling game. So in a bowling game, you can see a person throws a ball and the rolling ball hit the strike. So my question here is, what if a person throws a ball and the rolling ball gradually comes to rest without hitting the strike? So I hope you got my question. So my question is, what if the person who throws the ball and the rolling ball gradually comes to rest without hitting the strike? Is there any force there? Is there any force which is present between the ball and the ground? Yes, there is an invisible force, and that is called the frictional force. So there is an invisible force which is present between the ball and the ground. So when an object moves over another object, the frictional force is applied. So there is a friction between the ball and the ground. So let me give you another example. When you ride a bicycle, so it has handbrakes on both wheels. So what if you apply a brake while riding the bicycle? What happens? It rubs against the wheels. And even there is a friction. Even there is a friction between the wheel and the brake. That slows down the bicycle. So friction can slow down or stop a moving object. So what if you want to stop the cycle? So sometimes if you want to stop the bicycle, what do? You place your foot on the ground. Even there is a friction. There is a friction between your foot and the ground that makes the cycle to stop. So friction can stop or slow down a moving object. So what is frictional force? The resistance that one surface or object faces when moving over another. That is frictional force. When two surfaces rub against each other, friction is generated. When two surfaces rub against each other, friction is generated. So it can slow down or stop a moving object. That is called the frictional force. In page number 88, there is an activity given. The activity is, apply some soap solution to your hand and try to open a tightly closed lid of a jar. Can you do it? No, it is very difficult because your hands will slip. Then, now rinse your hands and dry them well. Try to open the lid of the jar. Can you do it now? Yes. Because more friction is produced on rough surface than smooth surface. Then, in page number 88, there are some questions given. Force applied by the muscles of the body is called frictional force, muscular force. The answer is muscular force. The second one, friction helps to stop a moving object, speed up a moving object. It helps to stop a moving object. The third one, the force exerted by magnet is called. It is called magnetic force. Then the fourth one, all objects are pulled towards the earth because of gravity, because of gravitational force. So in this class, we learned about force. So what is force? Force is defined as the push or pull that makes an object move. In order to move an object or in order to change the direction of an object, we need to apply force. All work requires us to apply force. So let it be anything. Whatever work you do, you need to apply a force. If the object is heavier, you need to apply sufficient force in order to move that object. When the object is lighter, you need to apply a very less force. Then we learned about the different types of forces. That is the muscular force, the gravitational force, the magnetic force and the frictional force. So I hope you have understood about force and different types of forces. So we'll meet in the next class and discuss a new topic. Till then, thank you.